Skeleton King. Scary but cool and mysterious guy with scary but cool and mysterious powers. He's a tall, strong, kingly skeleton figure who seems to have been in a deep slumber before joining the known Clash world. But besides that, there's a lot to ask. What type of life did he have when alive? What type of life has he had ever since his past? Was he a king before or after? And does his title mean he rules the undead? These are all questions that stand. What we do know is that he is a menace, someone who in terms of combat has it all. For his implementation in Project R.I.S E, while perhaps describing him as a tank damage hero would be best, I see him more as an extremely well-rounded character, one that not only can do a little bit of everything, but that does everything really well. Why exactly? Well, if we take both his Clash Royale and Clash Mini iterations, he kind of has it all. He's very tanky, not just because he has high health, but also because he can summon units to distract, heal himself, and revive if defeated. When it comes to support, he could potentially apply his soul manipulation powers to revive allies and boost them in some way. Damage-wise, he deals quite a bit of it in an area, with the potential to push and stun enemies, and do even more damage after reviving by unleashing his wrath. He has it all. He is him. And in all honesty, I think that's fine. An all-around really strong menace of a character sounds cool, and I think it could work, as long as there's some catch. The balancing could come from him having to work his way up every floor, maybe starting really weak when you first enter one, and by defeating enemies and collecting their souls his stats increase. Sailor. She rides a seal. A seal! That's pretty much it. Well, not exactly. I think the character being a sailor, someone who ventures the seas, is cool in itself. Thematically, she matches fishermen, swordsmen, and sharkbait, making them all seem like part of a crew, which lore-wise intrigues me. Her leap mechanic in Clash Mini, where she moved closer or further to the opponent she was attacking once her super activated, seemed pretty neat as well. That said, the fact she rides a seal is what really seals the deal for me. There are quite a few characters in the Clash world that ride an animal. Hog Rider, Ram Rider, Prince, Dark Prince, Spirit Empress, and Dragon Rider. Not really. But this one being a sea animal makes it feel different. It's bizarre, but I suppose that's what makes it appealing, and the art style and the way it moves makes it cute. Point being, I just want to play as a character that rides a seal. For her implementation in Project R.I.S E, I see Sailor as a well-rounded hero, not overpoweringly, whose playstyle revolves around, well, just doing a bit of everything with what she's got. Her hero kit could consist of throwing sea urchins that damage and slow down enemies, setting sea urchins as traps, leaps with her seal to close the distance on enemies or move away from them, sending her seal forward to act as a tank while she stays behind and attacks from afar, and sending enemies flying with her seal, either by hitting them with its tail or hitting them with its bouncy body. Maybe she could also passively traverse bodies of water, since she rides an animal that can swim. Lava Hound. What is something on the same level of cool as riding an animal? Playing as one. Even more than characters that ride animals, there are characters that are animals themselves, and I think they all have something cool and unique they could offer to the game. I have chosen Lava Hound here, however, because similarly to Sailor, I kind of just want to play as a hefty lava dog. It is a bulky unit with lava and fire powers that flies and splits into multiple miniature versions of itself, and all of that sounds cool to me. For its implementation in Project R.I.S E, I see Lava Hound as a tank support hero whose playstyle revolves around taking in damage and providing movement to teammates. Its hero kit could consist of shooting fireballs, spilling lava in an area, and when defeated, exploding into many small lava pops that provide extra damage and serve as distractions. It being a hound, a dog, man's best friend, and a very large one in this case, I think it could also work as a vehicle for teammates. Lava Hound could wear a saddle and teammates could ride it. While riding, Lava Hound will receive all the damage and teammates would still be able to use any ability that doesn't require them to physically touch the ground. Maybe Lava Hound could move both teammates at the same time, one riding on top, the other one carried by its paws. It will be great for repositioning when teammates have very low health. Battle Boxer. When I say she means business, I actually mean absolute business. Battle Boxer, as her name may suggest, is all about the fight, and looking at her outfit, she really does look the part. She's a melee fighter with a powerful wind-up punch that deals great area damage and grants her a shield in the process. Straightforward but very effective. That's how she fights. Nothing too complicated, just a full release of power in one punch. One punch! And that's what I like about her. She's a straightforward but very powerful character, and I think in this game she would offer a very satisfying experience of constant action and non-stop destruction. One of my favorite heroes from the playtest was Barbarian for this exact reason, so I think Battle Boxer could bring more of that in a differently paced way. For her implementation in Project R.I.S E, I see Battle Boxer as a damage hero whose playstyle revolves around being in the middle of the action as much as possible and unleashing all her strength on opponents. Her hero kit could consist of punch combos, a wind-up punch that does big area damage, knocks back opponents and stuns them, and health and attack buffs. For the buffs, they would take place during the wind-up phase of the wind-up punch. She would gain a shield, heal herself, and based on how much damage she receives as she is winding up, she would also maximize the damage of the punch once unleashed. Healer. She heals. In fact, that's all she does, which may be why we haven't seen her in other Clash games, since she wouldn't really work in those games, but I think it's time she gets to shine somewhere other than Clash of Clans. I just feel like she's been left behind, despite paving the way to all these other angelic beings. Yes, all these characters came into being because of her, even Battle Boxer, the previous hero I talked about. Well, that's not necessarily the case, but it could be. And yes, I know we have Battle Healer, which I would also be happy if she came to the game, and she would do pretty much the same thing that Healer would do, while also being able to attack. But the point is that Healer is the one I want to shine, since she's the one that hasn't gotten to do so as much. For her implementation in Project R.I.S E, I see Healer as a support hero whose playstyle revolves around, you guessed it, healing her teammates. Her hero kit could consist of shooting healing orbs, creating an area that revitalizes teammates, healing them and increasing their speed when inside, and the ability to take damage in place of teammates if near them. She could also have the ability to dash through the air for a few seconds to escape danger and get to teammates faster. Lastly, her whole thing is that she won't intentionally hurt others, and I do think it should stay that way. But that doesn't mean that she can't unintentionally hurt others. If dealing damage is a must for every character, Healer's abilities could have unintended effects, like her healing orbs and air dash creating shockwaves that deal very little damage to enemies. Miner. Nerf Miner. Zooming through the ground without having to worry about enemies seems like a fun playstyle. You will be able to explore floors quickly without much of a risk of being knocked down. You will be able to meet up with teammates in no time, and when fighting, it will allow for easy repositioning and flanking. I think he will be a heavily movement-oriented character, and movement can be really fun. So not much else to say for this guy other than he would offer that. For his implementation in Project R.I.S E, I see Miner as a damage hero whose playstyle revolves around moving around and around the ground and creating openings to fight enemies. His hero kit could consist of melee shovel attacks, ranged shovel attacks where he digs dirt and launches it at the enemies to blind them temporarily, and moving through the ground. When underground, he could move more quickly and stun enemies he passes from below. Witch. There is strength in numbers, and that is what the summoner of the undead proves. She's not very strong on her own, but by bringing back from the dead those who have fallen over and over again, she ends up with an unstoppable army. This is perfect for her as it allows her to stay back, attack from a safe place, and do some more summoning. I think it can yield a unique playstyle, having helper units that do most of the heavy lifting while you support them, and growing an army by summoning more and more of those helper units. So I would like to see what that could look like. For her implementation in Project R.I.S E, I see Witch as a well-rounded hero whose playstyle revolves around growing an undead army to maximize her defensive, offensive, and supportive capabilities. Her hero kit could consist of shooting magic orbs, summoning skeletons, and providing support to the undead. For summoning, it could be different types of skeletons that vary in their stats and what they do, and although there should be a limit, maybe they would have health bars without timers so that they can be built into an army. And that's it. These are some of the heroes I would like to see in Project R.I.S E. Part 2. Some I have chosen because of all these specific reasons, others because of their potential with their abilities, and all of them because I like them. There's just lots of good stuff out there. Lots of good stuff. Alright, thank you all, and have a good one.